Good morning. I'm John Burklow, Communications Director at NIH, and welcome to the press briefing on the first Brain Initiative Research Awards.
I guess my role is as advocate and angst. I am first and foremost an Alzheimer's advocate at a time when every 68 seconds another of us falls victim, a disease that is finally being recognized as one of the defining diseases of our time because of health challenges of aging populations globally that governments can no longer ignore. That said, we should all care about the research going on right now and about diseases of all brain diseases that interrupt, disconnect, misfire, and clog the neuronal circuitry and vascular networks. These diseases, and that's why this whole effort at understanding the basic research behind the brain, these diseases rob us of a loved one, of ourselves, of who we are, of who they are, and with precious children, who they might be, even though we love them just the way they are. We are here today to celebrate 100 investigators, 15 states, 3 countries, and for a number of the awardees, I will make a bet that a lot of this research is very personal. For a child, a spouse, a parent, a grandchild, or a significant other. They know our urgency, so couple that with great science, the passion for discovery, and $46 million, that's a pretty good start. We know that the dollars from NIH are hard-won and given out with great forethought, even as there are those who are second-guessing by others in the scientific community who wish those dollars went elsewhere, most notably with them. And the titles of the 58 grants, I mean, I'm not a scientist or neurologist, but in this first investment round, when I read it, it read like a mashup by inventor, thinker, and futurist Ray Kurzweil. I mean, it's that exciting. We are grateful, thank you, that the list invests in explorations of brain systems that are crucial to the understanding of dementia, just as it does on the more intellectually challenging basic science of learning and consciousness. Now, yours is a world of specificity, and even as we admire these awardees, their brilliant minds, you speak a very specific language of science and leave us out of the conversation. But you're our hope. We prefer researchers at the bench rather than at conferences, even though we assume that you are collaborating on faster cures. There are 15 million Alzheimer's caregivers just like me. Add to our legions those caring for loved ones, young and old, with diseases of the brain, traumatic brain injury, mental illness, and other rare and chronic diseases complicated by a memory disorder. We speak the same language. As advocates for disease of the brain, especially with no cure, we are hot-wired with pain. Those investigators out there, you are our hope, and right now you're our only hope. Even as you are amused by our ice bucket antics or Seth Rogen's tweets to shame Congress, no one seems to quibble with the cold cash we can raise for research by misbehaving. It is harmless, it's organic, and our way of managing our pain. And heads up to the young investigators who receive that money. There's a consensus that we have to change, that it's not business as usual in discovery. Look at the growing public partnerships between the public and private sector like AMP that pools energy and resources, that ask competitive companies to change the way they behave and even share data. No easy task, Dr. Collins. To those newly minted awardees, what is it going to take? What paradigm shift for you to be willing to share lessons learned from your failures, the lifeblood of discovery? Because it is a waste of precious dollars for other researchers to repeat those mistakes. We have an opportunity for adoptions of new technologies. That is the excitement around this brain initiative. Technologies that are already seamless in our lives. So we need to continue that. And with all due respect, researchers are not very good marketers. My apologies. But why not outsource these costly clinical trials to the neurotechies who design brain games and can attract 60 million subscribers? We want you all as awardees to be faithful to your commitment as scientists to the primacy of truth, but never forget the urgency. I was struck by a few lines in former Secretary Henry Kissinger's book, New World Order. Each generation will be judged by whether the greatest, most consequential issues of the human condition have been faced, and that decisions to meet these challenges must be taken by statesmen and leaders before it's possible to know what the outcome may be. The same can be said of science. We've learned more about the brain in the last 20 years than any time before. It's still a black box. We have the opportunity to open it up, and what we do as a society about all diseases of the brain will define our generation and how we will be remembered. So that's why, as advocates, we will never give up the fight to get more money for the National Institutes of Health. Congratulations to the awardees. Use your money well. Thank you. May I just have a shout out for the here and now while we're envisioning the future? We all have an opportunity, if you're willing to admit to being 65, to participate in the A4 prevention trials. We need to get ahead in the prevention space while they are exploring the future. We're looking for asymptomatics. I was less concerned about the lumbar puncture than having to admit I was 65. But we can all get over that. And it's important because we will begin to collect the data we need. And this will be part of the strategy. The other thing that I do envision is there will come a time when our study partners are our smartphones. We're surgically attached anyway, and the data collection can be passive. So it doesn't have to be that far out, but it's closer to home, and so that's my shout out.
Right. Thanks, Meryl.